and welcome to the Badhumanist likes and dislikes for Frost Death Knight. In this video, I'll be giving 3 likes and 3 dislikes for the Frost Death Knight. I've decided to break these like-dislike videos up into one video per spec to hopefully make them a little bit shorter and easier to digest. So let's dive right into these likes. The first like for Frost is its proc-based gameplay. So as you can see here on the Blizzard designed "These are the abilities that are important to use" page, you have Killing Machine and Rhyme. So two of your useful abilities are two passives, which are both your proc abilities. So Killing Machine causes your auto attack crits to have a chance to make your next Obliterate automatically critically strike. And then Rhyme is Obliterate has a 45% chance to cause your next Howling Blast to consume no runes and deal 300% additional damage. So your gameplay basically revolves around those two, where you're basically waiting on procs, Howling Blast only when you have a proc, other than to originally apply your Frost Fever, and then Obliterating as normal with, again, when you get those Killing Machines, to know you're going to be able to do more damage there. And that's your basic gameplay, is revolving around those two things. My second like is overall talent synergy. So what I mean by that is if you look at our talents, you'll see that there's a number of talents that synergize well, especially with the 100 row talent, the 100 row talents here. So for example, Breath really benefits from something like Horn of Winter to be able to get more RP during that window, as well as something like Rooting Attenuation, which again generates more RP. So both of these two things can really help your ability to extend the duration of Breath to therefore do more damage. Obliteration, on the other hand, really allows you to have this 12-second window where you just go into town with Obliterate and Frost Strike, or Obliterate and Howling Blast, and what that allows you to do is with Gathering Storm, it allows you to Remorseless Winter, Obliteration I should say, and then extend the duration by a bunch. So again, if you read this, each rune you spend during Remorseless Winter increases its damage by 15% and extends its duration by half a second. Now, this might be a glitch, but even though during Obliteration, Obliterate only costs 1 rune, you actually gain the duration as if it still cost 2 runes, which is quite nice. So you'll see that you can really extend the duration on this with this talent. I got up to basically double duration, so its normal duration is 8 seconds. I was able to get it to about 16 seconds, and again, it's only a 20-second cooldown. So very, very nice synergy with stuff like that. This also, of course, synergizes well with Ice Cap, because again, any crit of Frost Strike and Obliterate reduces the cooldown of Pillar by a second. So again, you can kind of see how Obliteration, Gathering Storm, and Ice Cap can all go together quite nice. My last like is the built-in AoE. So a lot of classes that I've looked at have pretty good AoE, but they have good AoE with AoE abilities. Very few have a single target rotation that actually is really good AoE as well, and that's exactly what we have here with Frost. With your Howling Blast and your Rhymed Howling Blast, and then with your Remorseless Winters, you have pretty good baked-in AoE damage already, and then you can just make it amazing with things like Frost Scythe or Glacial Advance or Breath of Sindragosa. So again, you have a number of other options available to help your AoE damage increase as well. You can take Freezing Fog, which again increases Howling Blast and Frost Fever, which again technically also does AoE damage. So yes, I really do think that the ability to do your single target rotation, and for the most part be able to have that translate into really good AoE, might be enjoyable for some people, right, who don't want to have to worry about 2 different rotations or 2 different ability sets. Your AoE is kind of baked in, and that's very nice. Now for some dislikes. My first dislike is that Pillar Frost is boring. Now, Pillar Frost, let me be very clear, is a very strong cooldown. 20% strength for 20 seconds on a minute cooldown, and again, with Ice Cap, could be a 30-40 second cooldown, is super strong. Strength is going to scale faster than any other stat, right? We're going to have more and more strength. It's going to be very much the case where your best stat will always be your primary stat, more so than your secondaries, unlike in Legion. And 20% extra primary is very, very strong, but it's still boring. So with the GCD change, and again, I've already made it very clear in my video on the GCD change that I'm okay with it. I'm okay with these abilities being on the GCD. However, my only caveat to that is they better feel engaging. I better feel as if pushing the button does something other than just passively increase my damage. Because if it does, I'd rather just macro it in and not know it's there. Right? If I have to hit the button, if I have to be aware of it and hit it, I want to feel like something happens. For example, Empowered Rune Weapon is a 3-minute cooldown, but when I hit it, I get all my runes back, I gain RP. So it changes my rotation. I can see and feel the difference. Here, if I don't have a damage meter, I can't really tell a difference. Right? If I don't have my damage meters up or I'm not paying very close attention to my scrolling combat text, I'm not going to know that I hit it. And to me, that's just a very boring, a very uninviting playstyle. I would much rather see this change to a crit increase or something that would maybe reduce the cost of Frost Strike, something like that. Just something that would, when you hit the button, it engages and changes your rotation. To me, that makes it much more fun. Second is there is some RNG involved. I got unlucky sometimes and I didn't get any Rhyme procs or any Killing Machine procs for a little while, and when that happens, you basically run out of resources very quickly. If you're having to use Howling Blast to refresh Frost Fever, that's not good, and if you have to, not guarantee to get Obliterate crits, you're not really, again, generating the same type of resources you normally would, and you can get basically resource drain where you're just kind of waiting around for stuff to regen. So, not the best, but again, I don't think it's actually that bad of a bad thing, but it can happen and it can feel bad. My last is a very odd stat synergy. So obviously with Killing Machine, crit's good, right? The more crit you have, the higher chance of getting a Killing Machine proc is, and the higher that chance is, the more damage you're going to do. But when you get that proc, what does that proc do but guarantee you a crit and obliterate? So as you get more and more crit, its value in a sense diminishes, because for example, if you look at your DPS or your kind of like execute time DPS for an ability where you have 30% crit, for example, being able to guarantee a crit, so in other words having 100% crit on that ability, is a huge increase, because you're basically raising the overall average crit percent by a lot more. Again, this is a kind of a weighted average problem. However, if you have 45% crit, let's say, and again, you then have a proc that gives you 100%, the amount of increase in that weight is going to end up being lower, because you're already starting from a higher base. And so, because you're encouraged to stack crit for Killing Machine, the more Killing Machines you get aren't benefiting you as much. So there's probably going to be some kind of balance there between in crits, where there's a point to where the crit's value diminishes. Now, that does not mean that you won't still want crit, but simply that its relative value to your other stats might go down. And to me, that's a very odd design. So again, I think that it's personally fine. I think crit's still going to be a very good stat for Frost. It's just a design choice that I think is a bit odd for Blizzard to make. Alright, so those are my 3 likes and 3 dislikes for the Frost Death Knight spec here. As a whole, I think that it has a very good identity. I think it's a very fun and engaging playstyle. And again, with some tuning of numbers, it could be a very competitive spec to play in both Mythic Plus and in raiding situations. If you like what I had to say, go ahead and give me a like. If you dislike what I had to say, give me a dislike. If you want to start a conversation, tell me your things that you like and dislike about the Frost Death Knight, the things that you like and dislike about the changes they've been making on the beta. Put those down there in the comments. If you like this kind of content and want to see more in-depth reviews on classes, you can go ahead and check out my other videos, but also go ahead and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll be able to see at least one video a day. Again, I'm going to be going through every single class here on the beta, giving my thoughts and input on how the class is playing, and I'll probably come back again closer to launch to create more specific guide videos of, okay, now that we know the balancing, here's how you want to play the spec, here's how the specs play out. So if you're looking forward to stuff like that, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much for listening, and again, I hope to see you in my future videos.